Hey everybody, this is CJ.
This is Oscar.
This is Zach.
And this is Nick.
And did it work?
Yeah.
Are we online? Are we actually recording this time?
We're
This is
good.
the second time we're doing this.
Woo! Okay, so, and it's funny because, like, we mentioned this the second time. We had some recording issues last night when we wanted to record this discussion, but it's almost fortuitous because we just talked about, the trailer and, reactions to everything, and we'll still get into that a little bit. However, something much bigger has come up today. Yes, in the vein of some of the previous videos we've done, a really comprehensive, quote-unquote, rumored plot leak has emerged. Of course, started at 4chan, like most of these things do, and whether it's about or not remains to be seen. But it definitely sounds like it could be possible. Now, I warn you, take this with a grain of salt, as I always say with these things, but if this is the plot, I would be pleased. It would be incredible to me. So, guys, you've seen this. Before we get into it, what are your initial knee-jerk thoughts about this plot leak?
Sounds
Somebody
great.
just jump right in.
Yeah, it sounds great. I like it, and if this is actually the plot of the movie, then yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I would have to say. We want to go first.
No, I was just going to say that, like, it all really adds up. I mean, if you just go through the post and then the concept art that leaked, it all connects and everything, so.
Yeah, it actually kind of does, and one of the things that I was looking forward to in it is that I wanted to know exactly if Andy Serkis was in it, and now that we know that Andy Serkis is in the movie, I'm all the more pleased. I would have a few nitpicks about this whole plot leak, but I guess we can get into that later.
I will say, like I said, I'm incredibly pleased with this if it is the actual plot. However, we all know there are some folks that are just naturally talented at, I guess, assembling pieces that might not seem connected into, a little, like, a viable story. And some of this does come from what we've seen in concept art, what has been rumored before, and what we just saw in the teaser. However, he did include some nitpicks here that weren't, previously mentioned, that haven't been previously rumored, that do seem to fit everything else so far. So anyways, let's just dive right into it. Now, he gives some broad outlines here in the very beginning, where he says the film is dystopian, it's much darker than Empire, the rumors about the fact that it's 30 to 40 years afterwards, and yet the war still continues is true. The script is described as too good for J.J. Abrams, which is, I guess, pleasing to a lot of people that might not be fans of his work in Star Trek. It begins in space above a desert planet, which is presumably Tatooine. And apparently the state of war is described as being similar to the European theater of 1944, with the Empire kind of no longer having the upper hand. The Republic has seized the upper hand and kind of are beating them back. John Boyega and Daisy Ridley are the leads, respectively. And Boyega is a Force-sensitive stormtrooper, which had previously been rumored, under the command of Gwendolyn Christie's character, and we'll get into her in a little bit, but he defects from the Empire over the course of the movie, ending up stranded on Tatooine during the first act, having defied orders. Boyega is hunted as a deserter. And he brings up at this point, there's some TIE fighter wreckage that is presumably Boyega's when he defects. And so Christie's character, she portrays an Inquisitor. The Inquisitors are a group of lightsaber-wielding individuals that may or may not be Force-sensitive and head up the Imperial Remnant, apparently. They're not Sith, but they're sort of like Sith Light, like the free trial version of Sith. They have a lightsaber. They, essentially just hunt down all these Force-sensitives, and apparently they helped with Vader's cleansing, which kind of, I guess, ties into Rebels a little bit. So, Zach, what do you think of that Rebels connection there?
Yeah, I have been speculating this about whether or not what the connection is between Rebels and Episode 7, and if they are definitely going the Inquisitors route. My only question is, what exactly... Because someone mentioned before that something from this movie would be in Rebels. That would be what connects the two. I don't think it could... I know it could be Inquisitors, but I think it's something more, like, cemented.
True. And what's interesting here is the concept art that's listed as Christie's Inquisitor is essentially, it's that chrome-plated stormtrooper that we saw before, with a little lightsaber on the hilt. So that all seems to piece together quite nicely. Nick, Oscar, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, like, I could definitely see Christy playing that type of character. I mean, I even said that, I mean, just because her character on Game of Thrones is so similar, she's like a pretty powerful, like, female character that can use, like, physical weapons and stuff like that, so it'd be awesome to see.
I think it's really interesting. This is kind of a nice middle ground between the two of our opinions, because I think you came out saying that you thought she was the Sith. I was on the side of her being some sort of Imperial officer, a la the rumors. So this is actually like it's right smack dab in the middle. She's not quite a Sith. She's a little more than an Imperial officer.
Oh, did we lose him?
Yeah, you cut out right there for a second.
All right, you know what? I'm just going to hold this in like that.
Yeah.
So where did I leave off?
We apologize for these technical difficulties. We blame Will.
We were talking about the Inquisitor, though.
I'm just going to retake the whole middle ground thing. So 3, 2, 1. Yeah, this is just it's a nice middle ground, because when we had been talking about this before, since we actually haven't all done a video on this yet, Nick, you were on the side of Christy potentially being the Sith, and I was more supporting the theory that she was going to be an Imperial officer of some kind. So this is somewhere right in the middle. She's a little more than an officer. She's not quite a Sith. She's an Inquisitor. Ta-da! Oscar, any thoughts on this section so far?
It's pretty interesting. We haven't really seen a Sith Inquisitor before, and Sith Inquisitors are very immersed in the power of the dark side, but they're not quite Sith entirely.
Yeah.
And, well, I think she will actually do a good job, really. But
True.
of course, I'm much more interested in seeing the actual Sith Lord than an Inquisitor.
True. And we'll get to that in a moment. But now, more details on Daisy Ridley's character, who's named apparently Kira, and she lives on Tatooine with Max von Sydow's character. Kira's described as sort of tomboyish, and I think it's revealed that she's the daughter of Han and Leia. So it's really interesting. Her ties to Sydow aren't really sort of, I guess, cleared up in this rumors, although Sydow is reportedly a broken man from the prequel movies that is almost, completely cyborg. He is not Force sensitive, and for some reason he collects these artifacts that we've seen at critical points during the previous films, particularly ones relating to the Jedi and the Sith. Apparently, Ridley's character is really fascinated with his history, and, as someone with Force sensitivity herself, she resents the fact that Luke went into exile before he could train her, and that sort of ties into the rumors of Luke being this Force wizard that has sealed himself off. She hopes that the search for Force-sensitive artifacts could lead her to him, and she keeps her identity as a Solo under wraps in order to keep trouble away. And so this is really interesting, because these pictures that are associated with it, people had assumed were the Sith, and if it's not the Sith, then I guess people were placing a bunch of a really valuable import here. And just before we go any further, Sydow's character reportedly hides out in an AT-AT, in a downed AT-AT, which is also shown in this concept art. What's really interesting is, I think, one of the things that first appeared to me as an issue with Sydow's character being this cyborg dude is that you look at, in the background of this second picture that's listed, it sort of looks like he's in an Imperial vessel of some kind. He's in space somewhere, holding Darth Vader's helmet. But then if you look at the AT-AT pictures, clearly under that AT-AT you see something that kind of would resemble that window structure there. So it definitely could. I think that this doesn't eliminate it as a possibility. And apparently Sydow is not overtly a villain from the prequels, and he's already an existing character from the prequel films, but he has some sort of Sith connection. And so that's pretty interesting. Not quite sure who he could be yet. Guys, do you want to take a stab at maybe a guess as to who Sydow's playing?
Palpatine.
No.
He's back! Nothing came to mind for me. Nothing.
I don't know. I would say maybe a clone, but that'd be too far fetched.
He's Master
Maybe an old Imperial officer.
Yeah, probably.
Maybe. I mean, it's
Tarkin.
It's he survived.
He survived being blown into oblivion.
But no, what's really interesting is the I think it's kind of interesting to say he's not Force sensitive, but he collects artifacts. And I'm trying to, and he's got some connection to the Sith.
Yeah.
I'm trying to just think of who it could be. Like, it's, ugh.
But the cooler thing about that is that this guy confirms that Kira is like the solo child, so that's pretty cool.
True.
Yeah.
I think that's something that a lot of people had thought was a possibility, and I'm very pleased that's the case.
Yeah, so I guess that means we're not going to get Jacen or Anakin at any point.
Yeah, I mean, she does look a good bit like Carrie Fisher. Like she does kind of look back in the day, of course.
Not like now.
No, not. Although I gotta say, Carrie Fisher, she's dropped a lot of weight. She looks good. And just
before
like
she was
Mark
looking
Hamill
like
dropped.
Marge's sister from The Simpsons.
Yeah, that's
Ouch.
She looks good now. You look good now, Carrie. You look good. Apparently, the blue lightsaber in the picture above is the same one Luke lost on Bespin. Not sure which picture that. Oh yeah, that picture with the ball droid. Hey, the ball droid's in this picture. No one noticed it. No one had noticed before.
Nobody cares about it.
The ball droid is actually.
That was Lucas's influence.
It was, yeah. That's going to be the Jar Jar of this trilogy. And Boyega, who of course we've already established has crashed onto this desert planet, meets up with Daisy and Sydow, and Han Solo and Chewbacca take them all off planet in the Falcon.
So that's like what we saw in the trailer, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And actually that would kind of tie in. If Boyega's being chased by the Imperials, they've got to make a run for it. And we learn that Kira is Han and Leia's daughter. Again, she keeps her identity secret to avoid unwanted trouble. Kira's revelation dumbfounds Boyega and quote-unquote other people. And this is actually really interesting because we learn something that had not been established previously in the movies, is that Chewbacca's life debt is not limited to Han himself and actually extends to the whole Solo family. And Chewbacca now has a robot arm, and that comes straight from the concept art we see, where we get Robo-Chewie. Robaka. Somebody, it's funny. I guess he was playing like a game of that space chess with another Wookiee that was bigger, and he didn't let the Wookiee win.
Yeah.
It ripped his arms off. I think that's funny. It's like if he actually got his arm ripped off, because that's the thing, is Wookiees can rip your arms, rip your arms out of yourself. Chewies. I'm just gonna call them Chewies.
No.
Channel my Baymax. Harry baby.
They're like
He just wanted to,
like Charleston
you know,
shoes.
he just wanted to borrow Luke's lightsaber. He wanted to shave a bit, and he slipped.
Yeah, all the questions about, weightless blade, blah, 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 physically impossible, blah, 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 so dangerous. Chewbacca learned firsthand.
Yes.
Apparently, Han, and this is really interesting because this is something from the EU they would have retained, Han takes a liking to Boyega. Throughout the film, he's in love, and that's a direct quote from this post, with Boyega's decision to defy orders and ruin his career in the Imperial military by defecting, which actually, and this is where the EU ties in, Han himself defected from the Imperial Academy, which is, I suppose, is a reference to the EU. If I remember correctly, it's been a little bit. Am I right? Am I wrong?
Yeah, it has been.
It was like the one thing they were like, oh, we'll keep that.
Yeah, alright. That's like 1 out of 100. There you go. Congrats, whoever wrote that. You made the cut. And at some point they're both the famous, hey, it's me lines, and I have a bad feeling about this. And apparently that's like really the only self-referential lines in this whole thing. This thing isn't a nostalgia fest, and that's kind of, I guess, lends to the dark tone, which I really like. Apparently Lando shows up. He's very famous. Lando's co-pilot, the Celestinian Nub, makes a humorous appearance reportedly. And I guess this is the really big kind of thing. A lot of people have been, talking about the rumor that Han would die. Zach, I know you've been guessing, you've been gesticulating that Han might die at the end of this movie.
Yeah, me and my friend had this bet that, I guarantee you by the 7th movie they're going to kill him off, because this is something that Harrison Ford has been wanting since Empire, but never got. So
he wants to be dead.
There has... it probably won't happen, but I am really sure that they could pull it off.
I bet you he demanded that after he broke his leg.
Yeah.
You better just kill me.
Yeah.
But, so yeah, apparently he does not reveal. He says he won't spoil the third act, this poster. I mean, who knows? It could be, and the fact that he doesn't want to spoil it, the poster on Reddit that I've linked in the comments below, he says, he kind of says, and this is true, it comes off as the guy being audacious because answering the question is such a way that it would spoil the third act, kind of gives it away, or, it's going to be very, very close, I would say. So Han might actually die, folks. Spoiler alert.
No, Luke will die.
No.
Look at Obi-Wan.
Good segue here. Luke apparently is actually it's very much like Obi-Wan, and that kind of ties into that Mark Hamill interview where George talked to him about maybe being an Obi-Wan type character in Episode 7. But Luke Skywalker has secluded himself, as the rumors would suggest, training only a handful of students since his exile. He has come close to Yoda levels of power, and he has become more and more secluded. There are no Jedi in the open, but there, I guess, are rumors that Luke is still training people. And Luke appears in this Act 2 in the same way Obi-Wan kind of appeared in A New Hope by the dropping of the hood. And apparently he survives the movie. And Boyega and Daisy become Luke's new apprentices, joining Lupita Nyong'o, who is his current apprentice, and Boyega's love interest, eventually. Apparently Luke exiled himself because of the ongoing war with the galaxy and chaos. He had to ensure his safety so that a new generation could be trained. At least that's his contention. The fact that he continues to exclude himself despite his great power indicates an ulterior motive. That's a direct quote from this article. I don't know if they were directly quoting the Reddit or the 4chan post, but yeah, I mean, I guess that makes sense. I think that's a really interesting and dramatic turn if that's the case. And Luke's rumored location is what looks like, as Zach mentioned. Do you want to say this? Do you want?
Yeah. If you look at the picture here, it looks like sort of a castle-like fortress. Now, in the EU, Darth Vader had a castle-like fortress where he could basically, be by himself and, just, to meditate and so on and so forth.
When he had to get away, he would put his feet up, maybe get a massage.
Yeah. And there's also this, there's also this, a beach-like background and mountainside here and there, and that was actually in I think that was in the Black Fleet Crisis books. I'm not sure, it could be, but
Vader's
it definitely looks like it.
Vader's Castle, also known as Bast Castle on the planet Vajun, also featured in Star Wars Jedi Knight, Jedi Apprentice, I believe. Or Jedi Academy. My apologies.
Those games. Okay.
Love that game. That game provided me many hours of entertainment. And so, apparently only Han and Leia know where Luke is, as he's secluded himself. We learn, and Mon Cal cruisers, guys, they show up. And apparently Luke has grown to dislike using his lightsaber, but apparently draws it late in the movie and showcases his abilities against an Inquisitor. It is still green, which kind of makes sense, if they've kept the meaning of the crystal.
So he's like Obi-Wan, essentially,
pretty much.
100%.
And we'll bring that up really quickly. Actually, I'm just going to say this now. Apparently, the way Kazdan, who wrote Empire Strikes Back, he writes the lightsaber battles to be more minimalistic and powerful, which is another thing that we talked about recently.
I don't want people flipping around and...
Yeah, whether we would see more Yoda shit where he's doing parkour and bouncing off the walls and essentially, ridiculous ninja shit. Or
in the prequels they're, super highly choreographed, and then the old movie is kind of
Actually, because Lucas based his original stuff off samurais and the way samurai fight, so... my apologies. Samurais is not the multiple. It's just samurai. But apparently, Luke does speak to Yoda's ghost in the film, which is kind of cool. And apparently, Luke has a reveal in the film, which is apparently stunning. Apparently, let me add it for a third time in that sentence. And I guess that's another third act thing he didn't want to spoil. Leia as the leader of the New Republic should come as no shock to anyone who's ever read an EU book. And apparently, R2 and C-3PO are with her. And they're the only real comic relief characters. And Carrie's daughter, Billie Lourd, who is rumored to have a role in this movie, will play Leia in a flashback sequence as Darth Vader appears in this flashback as well. This apparently takes place on Endor, which is really interesting.
I wonder what that is.
That's actually another thing that I really want to know more about. But Yavin's in the film. Presumably it's the Republic's base of operations. And I guess he includes more images here to suggest Yavin.
So I guess that means Coruscant is still under Imperial control.
It could be. And that would be really interesting to see if the core planets are still Imperial, whereas the Republic has taken more of the outer rim and, I guess, approaching Coruscant. But then I guess, we see in this concept art, we see sort of the hangars cut into the side of fields, which I guess is presumably on Yavin somewhere. And apparently the Republic is building a super weapon on a Scandinavian-esque cold and forsaken forest world. Its ultimate purpose is unknown. And that's kind of oddly, like, non-Republic-like. Really. Like, we've never seen them in a position where they'd have had a super weapon.
They're building a Death Star.
I was going to say, if that's the case and they have to end up fighting the Republic, you know, I was going to say, Leia's the Sith. Damn it!
Crap.
Carrie Fisher confirmed. And apparently the Han Solo archetype to round out the big three of Han, Luke, and Leia with Daisy Ridley and Boyega. The archetype is actually split between Oscar Isaac and Domhnall Gleeson. And Domhnall Gleeson, we know Oscar Isaac is in the trailer. He's in the X-Wing. We see that. As guy on Twitter who is disagreeing with me, I have proof! And Domhnall Gleeson is actually a guy that we haven't seen yet. We didn't see him in the teaser. He's not been in any rumors before this one. And apparently Isaac is an ace pilot with the last name Darklighter, a little Biggs connection. And he's been fighting for the Imperial forces for now. He's the hotshot. And he inherits the Millennium Falcon and is implied to be Kira's eventual love interest. So maybe that does suggest that Han dies as well. And apparently Domhnall Gleeson is a scoundrel of sorts. And that's all it says. Domhnall Gleeson's character is a scoundrel of sorts. That is literally all. And that is kind of...
So he's like Dash Rendar, confirmed.
There you go. Who knows? He could be a Rendar.
He actually does kind of look like him.
Looking nerf herder.
Adam Driver's character is an ambitious, Force-sensitive pilot who falls to the dark side. He's described as having a transformation that only begins in Episode 7. He builds his own lightsaber, the one we see in the trailer. It's called kind of a junk saber, which is why it looks different from what we're familiar with the crossguard. Apparently that was like a unanimous decision from the art department. It wasn't a writing thing, and this is where we get into lightsaber battles are written to be minimalistic, and Driver wears a mask because half of his face is cyborg, and we don't know if that happens yet or not. And apparently he goes looking for Andy Serkis's character on the aforementioned Scandinavian world, as we see in the teaser. And this is Driver's character, which just confirms, the picture just confirms that he is the masked, saber-wielding Sith. And it kind of like, if you watch the trailer again, you can kind of tell it's Driver, I think, as the Sith, just because it's his body type. And I know that's just a bad thing to base it off of, but it looks physically very much like Driver. Apparently, and this is really interesting, Serkis himself has now confirmed he's the voice in the trailer, so it's really interesting that this rumor, which came out before he confirmed it, kind of does say he is the speaker in the teaser, which a lot of people had been reporting on, though. He is some kind of alien Sith exempt from the rule of two. He is implied to have existed for a long time, be very powerful, and like I said, he's the speaker. Could he be, like, maybe one of the last, like, actual Sith of the Sith race?
Yeah, he's like guys? One of the old masters or something.
Yeah.
Or what would happen if he's actually Caesar from Planet of the Apes?
There you go. It's just Caesar.
Yeah.
That's the thing, is it's like the original Dawn of the Planet, like where they go through like this wormhole. He actually just ended up. There was never Caesar. He never ended up on the Planet of the Apes. He ended up here. But Serkis
they're in the same universe.
Serkis is implied to have trained or used Palpatine for some obscure purpose. And apparently his goals are different from Palpatine. He does not play or replace Darth Pelagius. The Sith are not aligned with the Empire, is an interesting thing to note. The Inquisitors, I guess, are the last remnants of that. The last remnants of any Sith that would be, with the Empire, the Imperial remnant. And I guess the Sith in this movie is Serkis and Driver, according to these rumors. And so the Inquisitors, I guess, are another offshoot, sort of something Vader started that continue to run themselves, I would guess. But apparently Driver receives or builds a new lightsaber after meeting with Serkis, and 99.9% of the EU is disregarded, to much of my chagrin, and lots of people's chagrin.
No.
But apparently, this is the big wrap-up. John Boyega, Daisy Ridley, Oscar Isaac, Domhnall Gleeson, Lupita Nyong'o, Chewbacca and the droids, presumably Sydow's character and Kira's ball droid, they're the new Big Six, quote-unquote. Adam Driver and Andy Serkis are Sith. Gwendolyn Christie is an Imperial. Characters we still have no knowledge of are played by Crystal Clark, Pip Anderson, Christina Chong, Miltos... I'm not even going to take a shot at that. Greg Grunberg and Warwick Davis. Warwick
Davis.
Oh, that guy. Oh,
back as
Serial Pharrell. How could I get that wrong? Cirio Farrell, guys. He's in there somewhere doing something.
So is Warwick Davis going to be R2-D2, or is he going to be Wicket again?
No, he's Wicket.
Jedi Wicket.
Yeah.
Wicket was Force sensitive the whole time, guys. That's how they won. That's how they beat the Imperials.
Yeah, he'll sell a lot of toys. I mean, he's very marketable.
There you go. Look at that winning smile. So that actually wraps it up here. I'm actually going to post the Reddit link and the original source link. Apparently, the dude quotes... Oh my god, I have so many memes. He works from Lucasfilm, and he has the script as well as a treatment from Episode 8, which nothing was mentioned in. I guess that one's going to be directed by Rian Johnson. So, anyways, any parting thoughts, fellas? Or actually, just what are your thoughts? Just, what do you think? Just go for it, dude.
Yeah, a lot of this whole plot leak does kind of fit what I was being sort of skeptical on, and it does kind of fit what I was expecting and hoping for, so I'm not entirely surprised. But if this is 100% exact to the actual Episode 7 script, then this could be what we need for a new Star Wars trilogy.
I think what I like best about it is it definitely continues the theme from the teaser. Excuse me. It really captures the feel of the originals instead of the prequels. I really, really like it. Personally, I think if it does happen this way, I will be this would probably be up there as far as my favorite Star Wars movies.
Whoa.
Just gotta say that. Whoa, yeah.
Let the Flame Wars begin.
Leaked? What?
I'm just saying, if it happens this way, if it gets better, I'm saying there's a possibility.
It seems like this movie will be like a mix between the prequels and the old movies, though, because the driver's transformation and stuff.
Maybe.
They're gonna focus on that and make it a big deal, probably.
I don't know. If he's not one of the main characters, then we'll see. But so, Nicholas, just continue on with your thoughts.
Yeah, I don't know. I gotta see a trailer. I gotta see this actually happening to I guess judge it. I mean,
yeah,
I don't know.
We need an actual trailer before we get any final thoughts on it, I guess.
True.
Yeah, most of it sounds pretty cool, though. I mean,
Oscar, any thoughts for yourself?
Yeah, I like what I've seen thus far, and I like what I've heard. The teaser trailer is just there to set the tone, or the mood for the movie. And from what I saw of it, it was really good, especially when the Sith came on, because, man, that sends some chills down my spine. But really, as the other guy stated, I probably need to see a trailer to finally make up my mind. But thus far, it seems very good, and I'm looking forward to this movie.
Alright, that about wraps it up here from us. Any final thoughts?
Nah, I'm good.
Please don't ruin the franchise again.
If you ruin it, you will be forever known as Jar Jar Abrams.
Jar Jar Abrams confirmed. Alright, guys. I guess that about wraps it up. Tell us what your thoughts are of this leak. I'm not going to say whether it's legit or not, but do you think this is legit? And if so, what is your favorite part of this? And what questions do you have that this didn't answer for you? Any new questions from you guys? That about wraps it up, as I mentioned. So, signing off. This is here. This is us here. Signing off again.
Yeah.
I completely lost it.
Later.
This is CJ.
Zach.
Oscar.
And I'm Nick.
They combined to form Zosker.
Yes.
Zosker.
Yeah, somebody go make a meme of that.
There you go.
No,
they really like Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Oh well. Okay, signing off. We'll see you next time.